Do you find implementing test cases time-consuming, distracting you from working on your main application code? Now we all know that constructing test cases can feel a bit repetitive, almost like writing boilerplate code. Today, we'll explore how we can leverage ChatGPT to streamline the unit testing workflow and how unit tests can ensure the robustness of ChatGPT's responses. Hi, my name is Hendrik. I'm a software engineer passionate about making coding more efficient. I haven't always written the most optimal code, and honestly, I used to think of unit tests as some kind of not so meaningful extra addition to my main application code. In this video, I'll share with you how my understanding of unit testing process improved by efficiently combining it with ChatGPT. So without further ado, let's dive in. So, the general workflow is as follows. When implementing new functionality, first you need to understand the requirements and let ChatGPT generate the initial functionality. Then you will generate the test cases. After that, you will check if the test cases are passing. If they are passing, then you have implemented the necessary functionality and it is covered with test cases. If the test cases are not passing, then you will provide the necessary information to ChatGPT, update the code, and iterate this process over and over again until all test cases are passing, and then you are finished. When updating existing functionality, then you will update the test cases, and after that, the following steps are exactly the same as they were when implementing new functionality. I'll be using Golang along with the Golang IDE with GoMod and main Go file setup, and ChatGPT Plus with the GPT-4 model as demonstration tools. You can access the code and the prompts used in this video on GitHub. The link is in the description below, so you can follow along. We'll tackle a typical problem in the development process and see how we can approach it using our workflow. You are working on a microservice that receives orders in JSON format, and each order consists of an order ID, customer ID, item ID, quantity, and status. Status can be one of the following: received, processing, or delivered. Note that all field values are in string format. Your task is to write a Go program that reads these orders, filters out the orders marked as processing, and calculates the total quantity of each item. The output should be a Go map with the item ID as the key and the total quantity for that item as the value. So now I will convert the problem statement into a prompt. First, we provide the context, then the input structure. After that, the specific flow steps, from which file to read, how to filter, and the calculating process. Also, the JSON format. Then, the output structure. And finally, how should the functions be divided? This part is important, so it is more convenient to unit test the code. Also note how I specify data types in the input and output. Then we can copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT to get the response. And now I can paste the response from ChatGPT to the code editor. Here we can see the imports and order structure that is used to parse the JSON file. This function takes in a file name and returns a list of orders or an error. And this function takes in a list of orders and returns the final map with the item IDs as keys and the total quantities as values. And here, in the main function, the whole process is executed. Next, we can generate relevant test cases for process orders function. We can start by just clicking on the function, pressing Alt and Insert at the same time, and then selecting Test for the function. This generates a new test file with the test cases template. We can use this template in the next prompt to ChatGPT to generate test cases by copying it, adding add according test cases here at the beginning, and then pasting the template. This is the updated test cases code, and they include test with single processing order, test with multiple processing orders, same item, and test with multiple processing and non-processing orders. And when running the tests, they are passing. So as you can see, it was very simple and fast to implement the new functionality along with the unit tests with the help of ChatGPT. But what happens when we need to add a new test case? First, we'll manually add a new test case for handling invalid quantity field. For example, when quantity is not a number, but a word. And now the test cases are failing. To fix this, we can construct a new prompt for ChatGPT. First, we provide the context, then the desired output, after that, the actual output, and finally, what action should be done. Then we can copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT to get the response. In the response, there was the updated process orders function, so we can just replace the current function with the new one. And now we're running the test cases. The new test case and the old test cases are passing. This is where the usefulness of the unit tests come in. They also ensure that the ChatGPT doesn't hallucinate in the responses, and we can be sure that the existing functionality is still working. And that's all. In this video, we looked at the general workflow of combining ChatGPT and unit testing, and how to apply them in a practical scenario. Thanks for watching.